And we've talked about safety culture. One thing I'd like to point out, because many of the people that will be hearing this interview are familiar with CCPS and may be familiar with the structure, but I talked a little bit before about risk-based process safety. And in risk-based process safety for the program, for the management of the system, we have 20 elements that we look at. But we have 4 foundation blocks. The first, and you've got to get this right, is committing to process safety, which contains, as the first pillar, the culture. A committed culture. The next is identifying hazards and risks, which we continually do a better job. The next is managing risk. And that may be different from within a company, and certainly from company to company, how they manage these risks. But the end piece is the piece that I am the most focused on for CCPS and for process safety. And that includes incident investigations, audits, metrics to measure how well you're doing, because if you don't measure it, you don't know which way you're going.
But you were saying that investigations have good quality.
Yes, I did.
We have no quality problems.
But that's part of the 4th block, and I'm glad you brought that up. That's part of the 4th block, learning from experience. I don't think there's any incident that I've seen in the last 5 or 10 years that I couldn't pick out another incident that was very similar, that had issues with culture, with management of change, with mechanical integrity. So we're repeating that, and that becomes even more important as we change generations. Because I'm 60 this year, and I'm not planning on retiring soon. But we have people that are coming in that are 25, 30. We have engineers that are looking at this, and they don't have the experience that I do. They didn't live through what I lived through. So if we can't find a way to teach them and let them learn from experience, I think the videos and talking like this is a great way to do it. They'll repeat the mistakes. And management has to be tied into that. They have to understand why it happened, how it happened. They have to keep a sense of vulnerability. And we as process safety professionals, we have to make it real for them. We have to find a way. We have to take them. One of the things that we did when I was in Texas is we took the leadership team to fire school to actually get in and see what the emergency responders do when you put out a fire. And I'll tell you, the first time they put me on the front end of a fire hose and I had to go in and put my hand through the fire to turn the valve, it was a life-changing moment for me. Because I had a totally different level of respect for the firefighters and the emergency responders. But what they do, they train and they drill and they execute. And I think that's where we fall down sometimes in learning from experiences, is we may train after an incident happens, or we may update the equipment or update procedures. But then we kind of fall off and we don't go through the drills and let's talk about why this is important again, so that the next time an incident happens or an emergency happens, we've got it, people in their mind are thinking we're vulnerable because we know that even if it didn't happen to us, we know that happened before and it can happen here. So when it does happen here, we're ready and we know what to do. And I think it's this piece of continual learning, continuing, and that's why these conferences are good, and that's why the videos are good, because people can go back anytime they want and look at that information.